Today, we are going to be talking about ways that you can prepare for the law school application process as a freshman in college. Hello, everyone. I'm Monique. I'm an associate law school consultant here at Montgomery Admissions Consulting, where we specialize in working with first-generation and minority law school applicants. Prior to joining the Montgomery Consulting team, I spent about 3 years as an admissions officer at Harvard Law School, where I really got to understand the best practices of the law school admissions process from behind the curtain. I also had the honor of connecting with hundreds of students about their law school application process and developing resources and opportunities to get their questions answered. Finally, I evaluated hundreds upon hundreds of applications, from prospective law school students who were still in college to folks with decades of experience. So today, we're going to talk about the former. I'm going to share with you the top 5 things you should consider as a freshman in college interested in pursuing law school. Now, I will add a caveat up top, because there's nothing I love more than clarity. Your experiences will vary. There is not, and there should not be, a cookie-cutter version of a college experience that makes you a competitive law school applicant. Diversity of experience and pathway and identity are needed in law school and in the legal profession. So if you're watching this and you're saying, well, that's not exactly how my story works, or I actually went about it this way, put it in the comments, let us know. Everyone's path is a bit different. That said, here are a few things that I would highly recommend to students with an early interest in law that will help you get started on your path. Firstly, build relationships with faculty. Why? Because your faculty are cool. Don't just sit in class and listen to them for an hour and never interact. To this day, I pull up the bio of my favorite professor, and I am just so amazed that I got to learn from them, that I got to have them as a mentor. I recently reached out to a previous professor that I made a strong relationship with. They wrote me a letter of recommendation for graduate school, and I'm interested in pursuing a PhD. So I gave them a call and I said, can we get lunch? Can you tell me about how to do this? That is a really important reason to connect with your faculties, because they can guide you, they can support you, they can connect you to other resources that might enrich your learning experiences. The more mentors in your corner, the better. Also, as an added plus, when you form strong bonds with faculty, they will know you well enough and remember you well enough to write a warm and substantive law school letter of recommendation one day. Now, we're not here to just use our connections, as I mentioned, but if you create authentic learning relationships, if you invest in the material, and if you learn from their guidance and take those other opportunities, you will be the kind of student that they want to rave about when you are ready to apply to law school. This is just one of those reminders to remember to learn and grow, because it will pay off down the line. Now, as you build your relationships with faculty, you might want to let them know that you see law in your future. You may want to ask their advice if they have a background in law themselves. You may want to listen to their story. They are there to help you, and they want to see you succeed. Now, you may wonder, how do I get to know my faculty outside of the classroom? What if I go to a large institution? That's what I did. And I don't exactly know how to best approach a faculty member or a teacher who I want to get to know better. There are a few options. One of the first ones that comes to mind is office hours. A lot of students aren't so sure if they're meant to go to office hours, if all students should use that opportunity. Absolutely go to office hours. That is what they are there for. They are for everyone. It took me a long time to get to know that in college. And once I started going, not only did I get help on those assignments that were a little bit more difficult for me, but I got an opportunity to kind of speak in a smaller setting with my professor in a way that I wasn't able to in the classroom, right? Because I had these larger lecture style classes. Also, don't be afraid to raise that hand. Make yourself known in the classroom by being an active participant. I'm sure your professor will get to know you. If you're one of those students who decides to add something useful to the conversation, that decides to bring either their lived experience or some of the reflections they have on their classwork to the discussion when things go a little quiet, that will be something that will stand out, and that will also serve as an avenue to get to know your faculty as well. Now, speaking of sort of jumping into the conversation and being a part of those discussions, you also want to engage in your academic community, your college campus, in a variety of ways that work for you. Now, before I say anything about this, I want to add that you shouldn't be joining organizations or getting involved in clubs just because you want to impress an admissions officer in a few years. There have been students who have asked me, which makes sense, what organizations do you want to see on my law school application? What club should I join? There is no preference. What I want you to do is to use your time in college to explore what you're passionate about, to figure out your path, to join clubs and engage with opportunities that really help you to define your larger goals. Intentionally crafting your path will shine through once you get to that application stage. Everything will come together because you will have tried those opportunities. You will have gotten experience, whether that be in a club or organization or through your coursework, that will make you better understand yourself and your motivation. That is a win-win. But some high-level tips as you go about this process: do not join every club and organization. Again, if I see that you were in 14 different clubs for one semester each, as an admissions officer, I'm going to wonder, what perspective did they gain from doing that? Were they committed to those interests? I also won't necessarily get a sense of what you were excited about, which I'm really, really looking for in the application process. So be thoughtful about the clubs and organizations you choose to join, and I would say to stick to 1 to 3 opportunities. There is no golden number, but remembering to think of quality over quantity in terms of your engagement on campus. On the other side, you shouldn't be doing nothing. Try to do something outside of the classroom. Now, lived experience is very nuanced. If you are a freshman that commutes to campus, or maybe you're also taking care of family members in addition to being a student, maybe you're working, your involvement looks different in different ways. And once you get to the law school application process, admissions officers will know that. They will see the context in your applications. They will see the commitments on your resume that may not have been a club or an organization. Do not worry there. What you should do is your very best to engage in the ways that work for you. And when you get to the application season, if there were extenuating circumstances that have impacted your ability to engage on campus, you might want to write an addendum. Just a brief statement that tells admissions officers why, but that's nothing to worry about now. Just a reminder that context is key. Now, once you decide how you want to engage on campus, try to think about ways that you can develop your leadership skills and gain sustained leadership experience. It's also a great sign on your application. So as you join clubs and organizations, think about spaces that you might want to have a voice and serve as a leader. Maybe you really care about mental health. Would you want to be in a decision-making position within a mental health advocacy organization on campus? Maybe you care about service. Do you want to recruit or orient new students to the community service organization? Maybe you want to foster space for students who share your identities. That might look like serving as a social chair for an affinity group. Now, how do you find those organizations and experiences? Well, for students who are just starting out in their college career, know that those opportunities will try to find you, but there are a few ways that you can seek them out. Every campus will be different, but during your first month at your institution, there will generally be an activities fair where student clubs will try to convince you to let them send you emails. Go, sign up, get the emails, chat with people, make pals. There are usually snacks, if I remember correctly from my day. It's a great opportunity to start building that list and actually seeing what's out there. Maybe there's an organization that you didn't think you would be interested in, but it seems like the folks in that group are cool and the activities that they described seemed really fun to you. Try new things. You don't have to do the things that you've been doing since high school or in your previous experiences. You can join the people watching club, for example. You can join the sociology organization if it's not something that you're familiar with. If you really want to learn about it, if you're interested in expanding your horizons, that's a great reason to join an organization. Also, most institutions will have a webpage that tells you all about all of the campus organizations, so you can actually search out orgs before you even get to campus and see what groups are exciting to you. My next point is to please dive into your pre-law resources. Story time. When I was in admissions, I went to a range of campuses. It was very fun. I got to meet lots of awesome students. I got to chat with pre-law advisors. And they would often ask me awesome questions about the process so they could share that with their advisees. But they would talk about how when they met with students, the students just wanted to hear directly from me. And I thought, well, we're in a conversation right now. I'm telling you the things. You're asking me You have a larger microphone. Generally speaking, your pre-law advisors know best, and if they don't know, they ask me, or an admissions officer, obviously, in that respect. So listen to them about the process. They do hard work of reaching out, of setting up information sessions, of organizing networking events. They do a lot of work that goes beyond the ways that I can connect with individual students as an admissions officer on, a one-day fair or things like that. So your pre-law advisor is sitting there, they're waiting to speak with you, and they're available early in your college career. So be sure to get their advice, and they will probably have even more suggestions and tips that are personalized to your institution for making the most of all 4 years. Now, I would recommend pausing this video, taking a moment, opening up your pre-law website, and really looking for who is my pre-law advisor. If you have not met them, if you don't know who they are, go say hi. Start seeing them soon, because you don't want to try to squeeze in 4 years of pre-law advising into your senior fall. I don't think your pre-law advisor would love that. I don't think you would love that. Take advantage of those resources. Now, that goes into my next point. Practice your self-advocacy and getting your needs met in terms of academic resources. If you're great at that already, awesome. Keep doing it. If you're not, we practice things to get better. Whether you are a freshman in college or you are a law student, knowing what your needs are to succeed and being able to advocate for those is important. Are you having trouble in a particular class? Have you gone to office hours? Have you looked into campus tutoring? Have you tried talking to your academic advisor? You do not need to struggle. There are folks that are there to help you. And let's say that you take those steps to improve your performance, and it's still just a topic that is difficult for you and you don't get the best grade in the course. You will now have more people in your corner. You now have a resource for the next time you engage with a difficult class. And if there is additional context, remember that when you do decide to apply to law school, you can include those pieces of information as well as how you work to overcome that adversity. That's important. My next tip, we're almost there, is to study what you want. You do not need to bring a pre-law major to go to law school. You do not need to be a political science student. You do not need to study criminal justice. You can be absolutely any college major and still apply to law school. So if you want to study engineering, we need lawyers who have been engineers. If you want to study health, that's totally fine. Deciding on the major that you want to learn the most about, that you feel driven towards, that will help you even more. That will help you to refine your pathway in law, to understand how your passions intersect. You do not need to choose the path that you think the law school admissions office wants you to choose. Choose the path that works best for you. Now, in your first year, this might look a little different, right? Because you'll be taking a core curriculum of sorts. With some exceptions for specialized majors, you will take courses that range subjects, that really speak to a liberal arts education. Try your hardest in those classes. I know it's general, and I know it's your first year, and it's a lot of adjustment, but refer back to your resources here. Set yourself up for success. If you falter, know that admissions officers are people. They do remember what it's like to be a freshman. They will not be shocked or have massive questions if they see that your first semester grades may not be reflected on the rest of your transcript. Maybe there was a transition. Maybe you were adjusting. They will understand that. That said, you'll notice it's really easy for your overall GPA to decrease. It feels harder to raise that back up. So always remember to try your hardest, do the best you can in those courses so that you really have the most reflective picture. Finally, this aligns, challenge yourself academically. As an admissions officer, when I reviewed applications, I was reviewing that whole academic experience beginning in that first semester. I saw all of it and I cared about all of it. I cared about the trends, what the courses were. I cared about the context. Law school, first and foremost, is school. And so I want to know that you were trying your very best in those courses, that you were trying to push yourself and to strengthen that intellectual curiosity. A few things to avoid. You don't need to take hard courses just because they're hard. You don't need to be a martyr. But don't shy away from a rigorous course in a topic or a field that you're interested in. Those courses will prepare you for the rigors of graduate study, which I will notice, and it will also show that you made the most of your academic opportunities. It will also allow you time to dive into the deep end of a subject that interests you and feel out how it relates potentially to your other interests. You do not need to be a martyr, but don't shy away from rigorous courses because A, those rigorous courses will prepare you for the rigors of graduate study, which I will notice as an admissions officer reviewing your transcript, and it will show that you made the most of your academic opportunities. It will also allow you time to dive into the deep end and do critical writing, critical reading, critical research on topics that interest you. And that will come up again in law school. So, to sum it all up again, remember to meet and build relationships with your professors, your teachers. Yes, that means going to office hours. That also means go forth and engage with your community in ways that are meaningful to you. That means to take advantage of your pre-law advising resources, as well as the larger resources at your institution for your academic success. Step 4, study what interests you, follow your passions. And step 5, challenge yourself in the classroom. I hope you find these tips helpful as you conquer freshman year and beyond. And be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more tips on the law school application process.